Welcome to Hollywood World. In this video, we're going to uncover one of the biggest secrets of old Hollywood, secrets that were locked away in dressing rooms, whispered in the wings of studio sound stages, and hidden in the private journals of the stars. Today, we reveal the hidden truth behind the divorce of Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor, a Hollywood power couple who seemed picture-perfect on the outside, but inside, they were living a secret life full of quiet pain, secret identities, and deeply buried truths. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and drop us a comment with your thoughts, because you won't believe the list of names we're about to reveal. 1. Tyrone Power. He was swashbuckling, dashing, and one of the most desired men in Hollywood. Tyrone Power had affairs with both men and women, but behind the scenes, it was said he and Taylor shared a short but electric romance, bonded by shared fears and studio pressure. 2. Montgomery Clift. Monty Clift and Robert Taylor ran in overlapping circles. Their bond was complicated, both emotionally intense and fragile. Clift's open struggle with his sexuality in private made him someone Taylor felt both drawn to and terrified by. 3. George Nader. George Nader was one of the few gay actors who quietly lived with his partner, Mark Miller. According to insiders, he and Robert Taylor were once briefly entangled before Nader walked away from studio games and into a life of quiet resistance. 4. Rock Hudson. Long before the world knew Rock Hudson's truth, Robert Taylor did. The two men reportedly had a discreet affair in the early 1950s, when Hudson was still being shaped by the studio as the ultimate ladies' man. 5. Clifton Webb. Known for his wit and elegance, Webb never married and lived with his mother until her death. Behind his public persona was a close friendship with Taylor that many believed went deeper, though neither ever spoke of it. 6. Van Johnson. With his boy next door charm, Van Johnson was MGM's golden boy. Off camera, he and Taylor shared a complex friendship that some say began as a studio strategy and evolved into something more personal and private. 7. Farley Granger. Farley Granger was open in later years about his bisexuality. In his memoir, he hinted at unnamed older actors who helped him navigate the brutal world of fame, and many believe Robert Taylor was one of them. 8. John Hodiak. Hodiak was a rising star in the 1940s. He and Taylor reportedly grew close during their time at MGM, and rumors swirled around their connection, a mix of admiration, rivalry, and something deeper that neither man dared name aloud. 9. Dirk Bogarde. The British actor who never publicly came out had a longtime male partner. When Taylor visited England in the late 50s, he and Bogarde crossed paths, and according to private letters from mutual acquaintances, something more may have bloomed. 10. Anthony Perkins. Best known for Psycho, Perkins was plagued by fears of exposure. He and Taylor allegedly had a brief, emotionally charged affair. Taylor was older, a mentor of sorts, and Perkins would later refer obliquely to a masculine protector in interviews. 11. Guy Madison. Guy Madison was marketed as a heartthrob, but according to confidential studio memos, his closeness with Robert Taylor drew unwanted attention. Some insiders claimed Taylor tried to shield Madison from the worst of the publicity machine. 12. Sal Mineo. Young, intense, and troubled, Sal Mineo found comfort in older male actors. Taylor, nearing the end of his peak fame, took a liking to him, and though their relationship was short-lived, it was meaningful. Sal reportedly idolized him. 13. William Haynes. Though Haynes's career was destroyed because he refused to hide his sexuality, he remained a respected figure among closeted stars. Taylor met Haynes privately in the 1940s, and some believe the encounter changed the way Taylor viewed himself. 14. Richard Chamberlain. Chamberlain was the golden boy of the 1960s, and his homosexuality was one of Hollywood's worst-kept secrets. While no direct affair was confirmed, Taylor and Chamberlain worked together on a project and developed an intimacy that lingered off-screen. 15. Tab Hunter. Tab Hunter was outed against his will in the 1950s, but before that, he and Taylor reportedly spent time together. Friends of Hunter later said Taylor had been one of his earliest Hollywood safe places. 16. Rory Calhoun. Tall, rugged, and magnetic, Calhoun had a bad boy reputation. But he and Taylor had more in common than most realized. A brief affair turned into a long-distance friendship that lasted through the years. 17. Raymond Burr. Burr, who would later star in Perry Mason, never spoke of his personal life publicly. But he lived with a male partner for decades. In his younger days, he and Robert Taylor supposedly had a quiet, romantic connection that neither acknowledged. By the late 1950s, the strain of the double life was taking its toll. Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor had grown apart. While they respected each other deeply, they had stopped living together in any meaningful way. Barbara, fiercely private and protective of Taylor's reputation, refused to ever discuss the reasons for their divorce publicly. But those who knew her best said she wanted him to be free, and for herself to live outside the illusion. When they officially divorced in 1951, the studio spun it as a tragedy of two busy stars. But the truth was far more complicated, and deeply human. In the decades that followed, Robert Taylor never remarried. Though he dated women publicly, he never again had a relationship as high-profile as the one with Stanwyck. Privately, he remained guarded. Friends who spent time with him in his later years said he was full of contradictions, charming, melancholy, affectionate, but always slightly removed. Before his death in 1969, Robert Taylor reportedly told a close friend, "Barbara was my only safe harbor. But I was always sailing in the wrong direction." Today, the love story between Taylor and Stanwyck is still seen by some as a beautiful tragedy, two people bonded by secrets, by loyalty, and by a quiet agreement to protect each other at all costs. Hollywood in the Golden Age was a land of shining lights and dark shadows. Actors like Robert Taylor were caught in a web of public expectations and private truth, and the toll was immense. Imagine living every day knowing that if your secret were revealed, your career could end. That the person you loved had to be a secret. That your marriage was a contract, not a choice. And yet, through it all, Taylor gave the world performances filled with depth, charm, and emotion, hiding his truth behind those famously perfect cheekbones. In the end, he wasn't just a movie star. He was a symbol of what so many gay men endured in a world that refused to accept them. And Barbara Stanwyck, she may never have said a word about their real relationship, but her silence speaks volumes. She stood by him, protected him, loved him, in the way only someone who understands the pain of hiding could. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey through Hollywood's hidden history. If this video moved you, helped you see these stars in a new light, or made you curious about the secrets behind the silver screen, please like, comment, and subscribe to Hollywood World. We have more stories to tell, more truths to uncover, and more names that deserve to be remembered for who they really were. not just who they played. Thanks for watching.